Welcome to Miller Chat. My name is Joe Bellil, and I'm a member of the Red Group. The Red Group is a grassroots group from the Worcester area that advocates on behalf of people with disabilities. And today I have two guests together here, and we have Debbie Malone. Debbie's the chair of the Red Group.
Yes.
And welcome, Debbie.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Mike Kennedy, who's a member of the Red Group.
Hi, yes, that is correct. Thank you, Joe.
And a representative of Center for Living and Working.
That is correct. I am their ADA Access Coordinator.
And Debbie, you have a guest here yourself, don't you?
I do have a guest, and my guest is Rosie, and she is my guide dog because I'm visually impaired. So Rosie helps me around.
So I'm not sure if the camera can see Rosie, but it just you do have Rosie's here, and that's great to have her.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. She's well behaved. She's sleeping.
So today we're talking about the Americans with Disabilities Act, and Rob Miller, which I want to thank, has granted us some time to talk about it, and the reason why we're talking about it is it's the 20th anniversary. Now, the Americans with Disabilities Act was signed in, July 26th of 1990.
Yes.
And
That's correct.
So we're going to be talking about that today, and I think all of us attended the Boston Common celebration.
Yes.
That is
we did.
correct.
Yes.
What did you think about it, Debbie?
I thought it was a lot of fun because it really helped us to realize that this 20-year mark is a really important mark. And while the ADA is important, a lot of progress has been made, but there's a lot more to make. So it kind of helped us to kind of be together as a group and really celebrate what's happened in the past 20 years.
Yep. Mike?
Yeah, actually, I feel the exact same way, and all the work behind the creation of the ADA, and to actually enforce the ADA. It actually gave us the time to sit back and celebrate. I got to see friends of mine I haven't seen for years. So it was just a great homecoming for me. Plus, it was a beautiful sunny day. It was certainly a lot better than having to sit in the office.
Yeah, I thought it was a great event. I mean, they had the governor, the mayor, variety of folks.
Yes.
There was John Hockenberry.
Yep. John
Yes.
Hockenberry.
Yep, he was there.
Yep, he was our keynote speaker.
Yep. So it worked out well. It was a great day and a lot of,
A lot of fun.
right, a lot of good friends and fun. Celebrating a good event. So one of the first things we're going to do today is just go through what the ADA is, just so people understand. When we say Americans with Disabilities Act, what are we talking about? And there are 5 titles of that act. So I'm going to go and start going through them, and you guys kick in anytime you want.
Sure.
On different things. So first, when we're talking about the Americans with Disabilities Act, again, we're talking about, or the ADA as we refer to it. It's a public law that was passed in 1990, and it was signed by the first President Bush. And one of the interesting things about the ADA, it also applies to U.S. Congress. And at times, I guess I wasn't sure about that, because I know some different laws pass that the Congress is immune to, but they're not immune to the ADA. So the first title is about employment, and it affects companies that have 15 or more employees. And so basically, when you think about the ADA and employment, I think about it prohibits discrimination, and it says that anyone with a disability applying for a job, and that's again in a company that has 15 or more employees.
Correct.
Can't be discriminated against, and it also, and that one of the things that affects is also what kind of questions the person can ask you. So if I come wheeling into an interview, they can't say, well, okay, Joe, so what's your disability? You can't start like that. Of course, they have to basically look at the essential job functions, talk about, regular interview questions, that kind of thing. So, in the past, I think there was been some issues where some folks felt they were discriminated against and stuff. So.
And I know too that a lot of times, because before the ADA, when a person with a disability went into an interview, oftentimes they would try to hide their disability because they didn't want, that could really hinder them getting a job. A lot of people, as soon as they find out anybody has a disability, they'd find a reason not to hire them. And I think the ADA really helped to eliminate much of that. Not that it doesn't still happen, but I think it really helps a lot of us with disabilities to be able to be on equal playing ground with everybody else.
The equal playing ground is something that I've always thought about. I mean, that's
Right.
what the ADA, I think, really does. It's,
Yes.
you know, it's, they consider it one of the, you know, comprehensive legislation that's enacted to protect the rights of people with disabilities. And it really does that. Levels the playing field for anybody with a disability. Now, you know, Mike and I have more visible disabilities. You have a visible disability, but not really visual.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, you know, and
Well,
so.
I know for me, before I had Rosie, and I would go for, say, a job interview, I would really try to hide the fact that I was visually impaired because I didn't want them to base that on that. So I have had personal experiences where that has happened. That you know that I'd go in and I'd really feel like I'd have to time when I would disclose that my disability.
And that's interesting because, again, part of the employment piece of the ADA, Title I, talks about like what kind of accommodations. And some of the accommodations can be restructuring jobs, altering the layout of workstations, modifying equipment. And again, for the interviews, making things accessible. So if you needed to take a test for the job or you needed to fill out an application form, you may request an alternative format.
Yes.
In other words, getting the materials either electronically sent to you in a Word document, for example, so you could read it on JAWS, or if you needed Braille for some reason, or something else. So, yeah. So
Right.
reasonable. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
if I could add just for you folks out there that don't know what JAWS is. JAWS is actually a screen reading program you can have installed into your computer. And you know, just the you know, part about disclosing you know, that one has a disability. That's still something that is always a you know, fine line. Do you disclose? I know in my own experiences, whether it was before the ADA or after the ADA, because I've actually you know, have applied for jobs both pre and post. If I knew the building was accessible ahead of time, I wouldn't disclose. But there were times where I had sent my resumes out all over the place or through a headhunter and didn't quite know the building. So even though I didn't go out of my way to disclose my disability, it pretty much was, you know, a given. You know, when you ask, oh, is your building wheelchair accessible? So but yeah, it is something that you know, is you know, makes you you know, a little apprehensive, I'd say.
And another point about disclosing or not disclosing, right? That's a major issue. I mean, that's something that folks with disabilities, especially when they, you know, youth, when they think about applying, you know, do they or don't they disclose? But something recently has happened, social media, Facebook. So people are putting down a lot more personal information. Employers are now doing Google searches and looking at Facebook and what you're writing. So if you happen to belong to the National Federation for the Blind, for example, on your Facebook, and you comment on, you know, any kind of visual impairment, boom, they may have an understanding that you have, or guess that you have some sort of disability. You know, same thing with us. We started putting down wheelchair basketball, you know, here and there. It's like, you know, again, somebody just looking at that may pick up you have a disability before you even you know, disclose it. So
Yeah,
That's true.
good point. Actually,
It's a good point.
it's funny you say wheelchair basketball because you know, even making my first resumes coming out of college, that was one of the you know, pieces I would put underneath, like you know, other hobbies and interests at the bottom of the resume.
And now they can tag photos where they actually have your name on your photo, and so somebody could actually maybe see you in you know, playing wheelchair basketball and have an understanding. So yeah, so again, that's a good protection to have, the employment piece. And you know, one of the last things I was going to comment on this was that it's also, I find it good for the future. Again, we have a workforce that's getting older. People are working longer. A lot of times people have different